Namaste. We are continuing again the eternal significance of our existence. That first part we finished, this is the second part. But the episode 3 for the core significance of spiritual life and spiritual centers on earth, which was our main series. So I'll again will take up an invocation, which is also the from Sri Savitri, the book of double toilet, which is very pertinent again to the subject which we are going to discuss. That is the eternal significance of our existence. The world is not cut off from truth and God. In vain thou hast dug the dark, unbridgeable gulf. The world is not cut off from truth and God. In vain thou hast dug the dark, unbridgeable gulf. In vain thou hast built the blind and doorless wall. Man's soul crosses through thee to paradise. Heaven's sun forces its way through death and night. Heaven's sun forces its way through death and night. Its light is seen upon our being's birds. My mind is a torch lit from the eternal sun. My life a breath drawn by the immortal guest. My mortal body is the eternal's house. So it is very interesting subject which we have been discussing. And the mother was narrating the things in a very interesting way. Such a mysterious subject of the secret of creation and the universe. So now this particular part we are really explaining. We are trying to know that how the consciousness, the opposite of the Supreme, has acted, and which has given the advent of Asuras and the disorder of the universe. As we see the world today. So the question was there to the mother, from where the gods come? And mother is answering, that means from where? Means what? What is their origin? Who has formed them? But everything comes from the one origin, from the Supreme, the gods also. So from the gods also comes from the Supreme. There is a very old tradition which narrates this. I am going to tell you the story as one does to children, mother is telling, for in this way you will understand. Even if it is a story to the children, but it is very symbolic and one can understand everything. So I'll just tell you how mother is explaining. One day, God decided to exteriorize himself, objectivize himself in order to have the joy of knowing himself in detail. Look at the interesting things. You want to know yourself in detail. So what do you have to do? You have to exteriorize yourself. Some emanation has to come out yourself. It stand before you. It has come out from the whole of you, but it may not contain the whole. That is how mother is going to explain in a very interesting way. So the God decided to exteriorize himself, objectivize himself in order to have the joy of knowing himself in detail. That is the play. He wanted to know himself in detail. So first of all, he emanated his consciousness. That is to say, he manifested his consciousness by ordering this consciousness to realize a universe. So Supreme ordered a consciousness. That is also, we should remember, to whom he ordered. By ordering this consciousness, there was the consciousness to whom Supreme told to realize the universe. This consciousness began by emanating four beings, four individuals, which were indeed altogether very high beings of the highest reality. They were the being of consciousness, the being of love, or rather Ananda, the being of life and the being of light and knowledge. But consciousness and light are the same thing. Okay. And naturally, there we are then, mother is telling, that consciousness, love and Ananda, life and truth. Truth, that is the exact word. So these are the words, consciousness, love and Ananda, life and truth. And naturally, they were supremely powerful beings because they have emanated from the Supreme. You understand? They were what are called in that tradition the first emanations. Mother is telling they are known as the first emanations, and they are supremely powerful beings. That is the first formations, and each one became very conscious of its qualities. Each one, whether it is consciousness, whether it is love and anand, whether it is life and truth, each one is very conscious of its qualities, its power, its capacities, its possibilities, and suddenly forgot each in its own way that it was only an emanation and incarnation of the Supreme. It is not the whole of Supreme. It is an emanation and incarnation of the Supreme. As Sri Aurobindo is also an emanation of the Supreme, as we see today. But they forgot that they are only the emanation and incarnation of the Supreme. And so this is what has happened. This is, you can say, an accident, but this is what has happened. What happened? When light or consciousness separated from the divine consciousness, that is, when it began to think it was the divine consciousness, and that there was nothing other than itself, and it suddenly became obscurity and inconscience. So the consciousness became obscurity and inconscience. The light became obscurity, consciousness became inconscience. Because it thought that I am the divine consciousness. But actually it is an emanation from the divine, supreme. Well, and when life thought that all life was in itself and that there was nothing else but its life, and that it didn't depend at all upon the supreme, it also thought that it didn't depend at all on upon the supreme, then its life became death. And when truth thought that it contained all truth and that there was no other truth than itself, this truth became falsehood. And when love or Ananda was convinced that it was the supreme Ananda, and that there was no other than itself and its felicity, it became suffering. So once you think that you are the supreme, you are a divine consciousness, so it turns to this, it converts to this. And that is how the world which was to have been so beautiful became so ugly. So Mother is telling now that consciousness, if you like to call it the Divine Mother, the Supreme Consciousness, so the consciousness which realized this universe, who brought this universe, as we Mother Supreme asked to realize the universe to the consciousness. So that consciousness is we can call the Divine Mother or the Supreme Consciousness. When now that consciousness, which is the Divine Mother, when she saw this, she was very disturbed. You may be sure, she said to herself, this has really not succeeded. So she turned back to the Divine Supreme, to God, the Supreme, and she asked him to come to her aid. She said to him, this is what has happened. Now what is to be done? Then Supreme said, he said, begin again, try to manage in such a way that the beings do not become so independent. They must remain in contact with you, because you are also you are consciousness. You are the Supreme Consciousness. They must remain in contact with you, and through you, with me. And it was thus that she created the gods, who were quite docile and not so proud, and who began the creation of the world. So you can understand this very symbolic, though it looks like a story to a children, but it is all truthful, very perfectly explained by the Mother, and very symbolic. You can understand everything. That human being, when it is given full freedom and independence, he forgets its origin. He doesn't care even parents, he doesn't care God, he doesn't care where from he came, because he finds himself within himself the force, power and intelligence. So he feels he can run any distance, and he is never humble. So that is how, when the second time the things worked out, the Supreme Consciousness, the Divine Mother, she created the gods who were quite docile instrument of the Supreme Consciousness, who were quite docile and not so proud, and who began the creation of the world. So they were being given the task to do the work in the creation of the world. But as the others had come before them, those first formations, those main powerful emanations, 4 emanations, but as the others had come before them, at every step the gods met the others. Every step. And which we have read in Puranas and Shastras, many cases. And it was in this way that the world changed into a battlefield, a place of war, strife, suffering, darkness, and all the rest. And for each new creation, the gods had to fight with the others who had gone ahead. So, fight with the others, those who have gone ahead, those who have come before them. They had preceded them, they had plunged headlong into matter, and they had created all this disorder. And the gods had put straight all this confusion. So God had to put straight all this confusion which has been created by his predecessors. That is where the gods came from. They are the second emanations. Beautiful. So then the question comes to the mother. The first four who changed, was it by chance or it was deliberately? Mother answers, no, what is chance? It is said also that is the continuation of the story, or rather is its beginning. That this change itself is the climax of the story. That because they changed, really the play started. That the divine wanted his creation to be a free creation. He wanted all that went forth from him to be, he wanted that all that went from him to be absolutely independent and free, in order to be able to unite with him in freedom. So, not through compulsion. That is very important. That he wanted that independent and free in order to be able to unite with him in freedom, to come back, unite with freedom, not in compulsion. He didn't want that they should be compelled to be faithful, compelled to be conscious, compelled to be obedient. That is why in ashram, when mother made and took the disciples, there was no rules, there is no force, there is no religion, there is nothing called compulsion, because it is the very beginning, the freedom, the independence was given. This is the very secret of the creation. It is nothing by forcibly we have to bring, by applying, putting some religioustic manner, by or putting compulsion, or putting discipline, putting rules, etc., etc. Because if it comes, it may go back again. But through freedom and through choice, through independence. He didn't want that they should be compelled to be faithful, compelled to be conscious, compelled to be obedient. It didn't even wanted to compel to be faithful, compelled to be conscious, compelled to be obedient. They had to do it spontaneously through the knowledge. So one is to come back spontaneously through the knowledge and conviction that was much better. So this world was created as a world of total freedom, freedom of choice. What a wonderful thing. This is what is the secret of creation, which man has never tried to find, but mother has told it. And it is in this way that every moment everyone has the freedom of choice. At every moment everyone has the freedom of choice. And look at how the law and order, court, police, all these are forcing us and determining our path, our object, which should change to a freedom of choice, independence, to a freedom of joy and willingness. But with all the consequences, if one chooses well, it is good. If one chooses ill or well, what's to happen? That is what has happened. What is to happen? That is what has happened. The story may be understood in a much more occult and spiritual sense. This story looks to be simple, but it can be understood in an occult and spiritual sense in another dimension. In a material dimension, the things are different. But it is like all the stories of the universe. If you want to narrate them so that people may understand, they become stories for children. But if one knows how to see the truth behind the symbols, one understands everything. So you should understand what is the truth behind the symbolic story. Then you understand everything. Even with what I have told you, which seems like a story for a children, mother is telling, even like that, if you understand what I have told you and the meaning of what I have told you, you can have the secret of things. There are traditions which say it is an accident. This changed of separation, what has happened, it is an accident. In the sense that it could have been otherwise, but it happened like that. It is true, it came about like that. Only it was quite understandable that every one of these elements having its origin in the Supreme, being quite close to the emanation at that moment, quite close to the origin, carried in itself the consciousness of its divinity and superiority, necessarily, since this is not a creation made with something foreign to the divine. Divine knows it. It is simply the divine who has emanated himself, as though he were looking at himself. So all this creation you can understand from this. It is only he has emanated, he has become opposite. That is how it is, and he will see everything. He objectivizes himself in order to become aware of all that he is. He objectivizes himself in order to become aware of all that he is, instead of being in an inner static state of concentration in which all is unmanifested. There was a day when everything was unmanifested, but he projects that outside himself in order to see, as though he wanted to see all that is within him. He wanted to see all that is within him. Till today we have not seen what all that is within us. So like the divine wanted to see all that is within him, that is all the infinity of possibilities. You can understand that even we do not know what is there within us. What we can be a singer, at the same time we can be a dancer, at the same time we can be an intellectual, at the same time we can be a yogi, at the same time, say all the possibilities are there which we have never explored. We go in a partial level, but here the interesting thing is, in order to see, as though he wanted to see all that is within him, that is all the infinity of possibilities. So all was possible, it happened like that. It could have happened otherwise. Besides, nothing tells you that alongside our universe such as it is, there do not exist others which are so different that there cannot be any relation between one universe and another. So Mother is saying there are other universes also. It can be very well be that our universe is not only exteriorization of the divine, ours is such as we know it. There may be others which are in much less sorry a state than this one. It is in a bit sorry state as it looks, but there may be others which are maybe less sorry state. Besides, it is lamentable only in its appearance. As we see, it is lamentable in its appearance that everything is pathetic, tragedy, darkness, etc., etc. But if you go behind the appearance, you become aware that it is not lamentable at all. It is only one way of seeing. 25th November 1953, in Question Answers, Volume 5, Mother is narrated this. Then the next question comes where Mother is telling, a question comes when someone is asking, you said that these four emanations were parts of the Supreme. Then how can they have another consciousness than his? Very pertinent question. And we should understand how nicely it is being answered. Mother is answering, another consciousness? But there is no other consciousness. The very principle of emanation is an objectivization of a part of himself, which potentially keeps the qualities of the emanator. Potentially keeps the quality of the emanator. But if this emanation is made as they were made, with a will to give freedom of choice, if the emanation is made with a will to give freedom of choice, as I said, these emanations can either follow that freedom and independence or continue to keep the connections with the emanator, but that there is a freedom of choice. That is the secret. So when you give with all power and force, like as your father has given all your, whatever you have inherited from your parents, this, that. So if you go independently, you can go very far. So you may come back, you may not come back. But if you keep connections with your parent, with your men, then you have a freedom of choice. Then in that case, the things are different. That strength and force which they hold in themselves is quite sufficient to give them the impression of their importance and power. As we see in this world itself. If they themselves of their own will choose not to remain in contact, if they will, because the independence is given, and they decided not to remain in contact in a relation of surrender to the Supreme. They don't want to surrender to the Supreme, not to surrender to the parents, not to the family, or not to the origin. If they choose to use the amount of power and consciousness force they contain in themselves to what they must do independently, but that very fact they cut themselves off from their source. So that is how the secret is. They cut themselves off from their source. And it is because of this that Even if they caught themselves up voluntarily, there is in the very depth of the consciousness a link which is indestructible. There is a link. There is and it is the link of identity. Because you are from that. But in the outer manifestation, as they were emanated with this essential quality of freedom of choice, well, they are free to choose to do this or that. That is why even in the worst criminal, there is somewhere in the depths, in the worst criminal who goes very far and does crime, somewhere he forgets the truth, he forgets the principle, he forgets the joy, and he goes exactly opposite. And so there is somewhere in the depths, somewhere even in that criminal, the divine light. I believe you have read the passage Mother is telling of Vivekananda, where he says, I don't know the exact words Mother is telling, that the criminal must be told, awake, awake, being of light, and shine forth. Then again you will find that the criminal also will go back to its origin as a normal, honest. Just a while ago when I told you I shall narrate the story to you as one does to children, that is precisely because I narrated it as if it were a material story. And narrated thus, it becomes a child story. But these things must be seen in their own domain. If you see in the original domain, which is a spiritual domain and not a material one, things do not happen as they would here. As we are imagining, things didn't happen like that. It is in that spiritual domain. It is not explainable, but it happens in a bit different manner. But still, yes, Mother is telling, what happens here is symbolically the same thing. As the story is being narrated, you can see in world the story is exactly like that. We separate ourselves from our own origin. Then what is the suffering comes? How the separation, pain, suffering all comes in between. In the sense that the child who is born is nothing else but a little piece of his mother. A child when is born, the very first moment, very first second, is a little piece of his mother, even materially, physically. Altogether materially for during almost completely during a few hours, about 2 days, and to a lesser extent, though still very perceptibly during at least 2 months. This link of substance, the total substance, is so great that it feels really like a physical material prolongation of herself. So the mother feels as if it is a the link is so much intact that it is as if the mother is still the part of myself. It is a prolongation of herself, but outside herself, but it is outside herself. That is just the element of emanation. That is how it is, the emanation. Well, this doesn't prevent children, but mind it, that's what mother is telling. This doesn't prevent children when they grow up from becoming quite independent of their parents, at times completely different. But at the source, at the beginning, it is the same thing. It is simply the same matter, absolutely the same, simply exteriorized, that's all. And for the emanations, it is the same phenomenon. But instead of being on a material plane, it is on the highest spiritual plane. Mother is talking about the 4 main emanations. And what happens here is a symbol of what happens up above. And this is what is happening here also. Well, doesn't it ever occur to you to say, how is it that this child whose father and mother are so good, so honest, so generous, so truthful, how is it that that boy or the child is such a rascal? You may wonder at it, but it doesn't seem anything impossible. So this is the same thing. Fundamentally, all depends on the inner constitution of the being. There are no 2 beings who are exactly alike, as our fingers are. There are no 2 constitutions which are the same. And all depends on the inner organizations. In our own body, there are different cells. One cells becomes eyes, one cells become nose, one cells become ear, and one finger is long, one finger is short, one finger is moderate. So all depends on the inner organism, the integral organism of the being, on the order in which the elements are organized and what their inner relation is. Even as the external form differs, because the cells are not organized in the same way. This is the secret of the creation in the every species also. But as this is a phenomenon you constantly see in the midst of which you are born, which you see every day, it seems quite natural to you. but it is the same thing. It seems quite natural to you that a child is different from its mother and father, and yet this is the same thing. And in an emanation of the Supreme, to begin with, one part is necessarily different from the whole, though it may be potentially contain the whole, but each emanation is different. Though it may potentially contain the whole, but the whole is not expressed, because the part which is taken emanation from the whole, it doesn't express the whole, and as the whole is not expressed, it is perforce different from the whole. So it is naturally, it is inevitable that it will be different from the whole. For the inner organization is different. There, then I think that is enough. We have almost touched philosophy. Mother is telling in the question and answer session, 25th November 1953. So the question arises then how this disorder came in the world. Now it is getting clear, and how this advent of asuras came. Mother is explaining to a question is that what are these invisible enemies of the divine? The divine is everything, divine is everywhere, we all are divine. But then how this opposite, invisible enemies came? Why this disturbance, disorder? So, very nice, wonderfully the answer. There are precisely these four persons who have naturally put forth innumerable emanations. When these four are given the task with all power and force, so they made innumerable emanations from them, which have again put forth others. Again, these emanations put forth again others. As the children, generation after generation, the human being continues. Similarly, the formation and emanations took place, which have made formations. And so there are millions and millions and millions of them. So if they become opposite, there are millions of opposites have been already created. And it is these who have formed between themselves a certain habit. So these race, you can say they are in the human forms, they are in the animal forms, they are in many forms, in insects, in many forms. So they themselves have a certain habit and have the logic to preserve it and persist in not wanting any other rule than theirs to govern. That is what you see in the world also today. So they want their own rule, they don't want anyone else to govern. You can understand. These are what are called in India the asuras, the beings of darkness. How clearly Mother is mentioned. It is through a sort of logic that they are like that. They began by going wrong. They began by going wrong. They continue. Now I must say there are some among them who change their mind. But this is mentioned in the Gita also. I believe they speak of those who will be converted, and then those who absolutely refuse any conversion, who prefer to disappear, to be destroyed rather than be converted. And that is how it is. Some are of one kind, others of another. So the question arises again to the mother that which are the others who have been converted? Oh, Mother is answering, you know that you have a good memory. There is one of them who has been converted and who have been collaborators. He is the one of the consciousness and light. So the inconscience who has collaborated and become consciousness and light has come back. So Mother is answering, if he has converted, the difficulty must go up itself. The question, the answer is naturally, but his power remains. This becomes a formidable being. His power remains. The person has gone, but his power is still there to a certain time, to a certain extent. You said that question again. You said that consciousness has changed into inconscience. But when consciousness is converted, inconscience must go. Mother is answering, it becomes once again consciousness and light. It becomes once more what it was. Hasn't it become that again? But I have just said a minute ago that when it becomes inconscience or darkness, it produced innumerable formations. So when it was inconscience or darkness, it has already produced innumerable formations, emanations, formations, creations. And its conversion doesn't mean that all the rest follow. So the man has converted, but others will follow or not. Again, it depends on their choice. So they obey that same law of freedom of choice. They may be converted or not. These are those who are converted. There are those who refuse. And I believe that in fact there are many more who refuse. So very interesting things. Again, Mother is revealing a very interesting thing which has happened in this world. that we have passed across two world wars, and their mother has seen the world of nations, the world of falsehood, the Lord of falsehood, Lord of nations. So she is just explaining it. But the one who does the greatest harm is the Lord of falsehood. He it is indeed who is the biggest obstacle in the universe, the Lord of falsehood. This constant negation of the truth, and he has a very strong hold on the terrestrial world. He is having like an emperor. He is having a strong hold on the terrestrial world, in this material world, on the material world. Besides, here on earth, those who see him as an absolutely marvelous, splendid being, king-like look, very impressive, powerful, luminous. And Mother is telling, he entitles himself the Lord of the nations. And he appears formidable, luminous, powerful, very impressive. Historically, he was the inspirer of certain head of state. And he proclaims himself the Lord of the nations because it is he who governs the people. And many people follow them. But they do not know that they are the Lord of falsehood, the Lord of nations. They look very powerful, very luminous, very impressive. But they are also the falsehood and Lord of the nations. But many followers are there. You will find most of the people follow this kind of people. He is evidently at the source, the supreme organizer of these last two wars. First World War, Second World War. It was on that occasion that he manifested himself as the Lord of the nations. And he declared besides that he would never be converted. And he knows that his end will come. Naturally, he will try to make it as late as possible. And he declared that he would destroy all he could do before being destroyed. We may expect all possible catastrophes. That is about the Lord of falsehood and Lord of nations, whose representative was Hitler. So, in Second World War, it was Hitler. So, it was also in the question answer, volume 5, 25th November 1953. So Mother is telling, but if by interiorizing and exteriorizing oneself, which from a certain point of view is essentially the same thing, if one can relive this story at least partially and in its broad outlines, it helps one to understand and hence to master the how and why of things. Some people have done that. They are the ones usually considered as initiates, occultists and prophets. At the same time, and very beautiful stories have been told. Mother is telling, I am going to tell you very shockingly, don't take it as a gospel, take it rather as a story. It is the same story, but it is being presented in a bit different way, in a very lucid manner and very precisely and very interesting. Once again the same story, so I'll just bring it in front of you. When the Supreme decided to exteriorize himself in order to be able to see himself, the first thing in himself which he exteriorized was the knowledge of the world and the power to create it. The knowledge of the world and the power to create it. The first thing in himself which he exteriorized was the knowledge of the world and the power to create it. This knowledge, consciousness and the force began its work. And in the supreme will there was a plan. And the first principle of this plan was the expression of both the essential joy. What was the principle? Expression of the essential joy and essential freedom. So the object of total creation was essentially joy and freedom, which seemed to be the most interesting feature of this creation. Mother herself has told. And where the humanity is going, where the rules or disciplines are being framed, just imagine and verify. You will understand how opposite we are going in most of the time, but actually the origin of it is the joy and freedom. So intermediaries were needed to express this joy and freedom in forms. And at first 4 beings were emanated to start this universal development, which was to be the progressive objectivization of all that is potentially contained in the Supreme. Potentially contained in the Supreme, that is to be objectivized. So you can these beings were in the principle of their existence, wherefore consciousness and light, life, bliss and love and truth. We have already discussed about it. You can easily, Mother is interpreting in another very clear way, so we can understand much better. You can easily imagine that they had a sense of great power, great strength of something tremendous, for they were essential, the very principle of these things. Besides, they had full freedom of choice, for this creation was to be freedom itself. As soon as they set to work, they had their own conception of how it had to be done. Being totally free, they choose to do it independently. Instead of taking it the attitude of servant, humble, like as it is, the servant is normally supposed to be humble, obedient. Instead of taking the attitude of servant and instrument, of which Sri Aurobindo speaks in what I have just read to you, they naturally took the attitude of the master. And this mistake, as I may call it, this is the mistake, this is the accident, this is the mistake, was the first cause, the essential cause of all the disorder in the universe, as we see. As soon as there was separation, for that is the essential cause, separation. As soon as there was separation between the Supreme and what had been emanated, Supreme and what had been emanated from the Supreme, consciousness changed into inconscience, light into darkness, love into hatred, bliss into suffering, life into death, and truth into falsehood. And they proceeded with their creations independently, in separation and disorders. So what we see today in the world as disorder and chaos is all the emanations, formations of those many emanations who separated himself from the Supreme, and instead of being a servant or humble, they became the proud master. That is how the things also being repeated, the same story in the world till now. Then the result is the world as we see it, Mother is telling. It was made progressively stage by stage, and it would truly take a little too long to tell you all that. But finally, the consummation is matter. So they encroached the matter, they entered, they consumed the matter. Consummation is matter. The matter suffered, obscure, inconscient, miserable. The creative force which had emanated these four beings, essentially for the creation of the world, witnessed what was happening, and turning to the Supreme, she prayed for the remedy and the cure of the evil that had been done. So the consummation is matter means everyone, all these wrong notions, wrong deed by those emanations, they utilize the matter. So that is why we have the desire, we are selfishly we want to grab everything for ours, because what do we want to grab? All the matter. So that is why Mother is saying the consummation is matter in the obscure instrument. That is what they utilized. Then she was given the command to precipitate her consciousness into this inconscience, her love into this suffering. So the command was given that immediately her consciousness into this inconscience should go, her love into this suffering, and her truth into this falsehood, and a greater consciousness, a more total love, a more perfect truth than what had been emanated first. So Divine told that it should be more truth, more love, more ananda, more light, more consciousness should precipitate within this inconscience. So to say, a more perfect truth than what had been emanated at first, plunged, so to say, into the horror of matter in order to awaken in it consciousness. Horror of matter in order to awaken in it consciousness. Love, and so there have been what might be called successive involutions. Evolution and involutions. Evolution we are rising, involution which has gone down inside in matter, and a history of these involutions, truth, and to begin the movement of redemption, which was to bring the material universe back to its supreme origin. Because material universe, what we see is an exteriorization. So it has to bring back through introspection, as I have told from the beginning, to bring back to the supreme origin. So there have been that might be called successive evolution in matter and a history of this involution. So now the last part of this episode, I think a very interesting part, so I would not like to drop it. Why of the things are like this, as we see? Again there is a question. If everything that is manifested in the physical world has its origin in the higher truth, what is it that makes it ugly when it expresses itself? Why are there ugly things at all? If everything in the physical world has its origin in the higher truth, then what is it that makes it ugly when it expresses itself? Why there are ugly things at all? Because there are forces that intervene between the origin and the manifestation. In creating the universe as it was, the will was an individual projection. The divine wanted will was an individual projection. Individual, you understand, a scattering. Instead of being a unity containing all, it was a unity made of innumerable small unities which are individualization. As we have already seen, fragmentation, a small unit of fragmentation. Made of innumerable small units which are individualization, that is, things that feel themselves separated. There is a feeling of unity, feeling of separation also, which we are passing through. We have separated, we have and we have forgotten, but actually we are identified, linked, and the very fact of being separated from all others is what gives you the feeling that you are an individual. Otherwise, you would have the feeling that you are a fluid mass. For example, instead of being conscious of your external form and of everything in your being which makes you a separate individuality, if you are conscious of the vital force which move everywhere, or of the inconscient that it is at the base of all, you would have the feeling of a mass moving with all kinds of contradictory movements. Mass moving you would have seen in totality, but which could not be separated from each other. You would not have the feeling of being an individual at all. You would have the feeling of something like a vibration in the midst of the whole. In whole body, somewhere you will feel a vibration, but that is not a separate. It is within you. So you would have felt like that. Well, the original will was to form individual beings capable of becoming conscious once again of their divine origin. That was the original will. Because of the process of individualization, one must feel separate if one is to be an individual. Because of the process of individualization, which is the creation, the process of creation, one must feel separate if one is to be an individual. So parents get married and they give birth a child. This is what is that they create one after another individual, it separates. The moment you are separated, you are caught up from the original consciousness, at least apparently, and you fall into the inconscient. For the only thing which is the life of life is the origin. If you caught yourself up from that, consciousness naturally change into unconsciousness. And then it is due to this very unconsciousness that you are no longer aware of the truth of your being. It is a process. A child has to be reminded and to be brought to the mother, because he forgets. He doesn't know. He is in inconscience, in ignorance. You cannot argue whether it is inevitable or evitable. In fact, it is like that. This process of formation and creation is the reason why purity of the divine no longer manifests in its essence and its purity, but through the deformation of unconsciousness and ignorance. So what we see a deformation. If you had answered immediately, yes, of course, I know the truth of my being, but the very part itself, it would have finished there would not have been any problem. That is why there is all this ugliness, there is death, that is why there is illness, that is why there is wickedness, that is why there is suffering. So many answers in this episode. There is no remedy, there is only one way for all these things. All this is, they are in different domains with different vibrations. But the cause of all is the same. It is inconscience produced because of the necessity of individual formation. Once again, I do not say that it was indispensable. That is another problem which perhaps later on we shall be ready to solve. But for the moment, we are obliged to state that that's how it is. And so the remedy, since such is the cause, the only way of putting everything right is to become conscious once again. That is why ashram. That is why it started with religion. That is why the spiritual life. This is why the spiritual center. That is why to make you become conscious once again. And this is very simple, and that is the greatest charity, as I have told, any center or any spiritual organization ever done. They do the primary things, they remind you, they make you conscious to go back again to the conscious once again. Suppose that there are in the universe two opposing and contradictory forces, as some religions have preached. There was good and evil, and there was always will be good and evil. There will be a conflict, a battle, a struggle. So I hope actually there is but the origin, and this origin is the perfection of the truth. But that is the only one thing, that is the only thing which truly exists. And by exteriorizing, projecting, scattering itself, it brings forth what we see, and a crowd of tiny brains, very gentle, very brilliant, in sorts of something they have not yet seized, but which they can seize. Because what they are in search of is within them. That is a certainty. It may take more or less time, but it is sure to come. The remedy is at the very core of the evil. It has been called by various names. Each one has presented it in his own way, according to the angle of seeing. One's experience differs. All those who have found the divine within themselves have found in him in a certain way. So everyone has to find the divine within him, and everyone's divine is different from each one. Because the same divine has potentially expressed himself, manifested himself through every individualization by separating. And that is how it has to come back with all freedom and find its own divine within. That is how the lovely creation is. So, Mother is telling, finally ending up with this: all those who have found the divine with themselves have found in him a certain way, following a certain experience and from a certain angle, and this angle was self-evident to them. So we'll today end up this part. It's a very interesting part, and I hope you will ever cherish this conversation, this togetherness of sharing together the feeling which I was very joyful to share with all of you when I found it, and it inspired me to share with everyone. Thank you very much. See you again in the episode 4.